we're now here for the last session of the evening. We are running late. Apologies to anyone who turned up at 11 expecting us to be talking about Dune. It's nearly 12 because everyone kind of ran 20 minutes late. But we're here now, so please extend your thanks to Danny, Rachel and Andy who have hung around waiting in the Discord lobby like people in A&E or something, where people wait, really. Danny,
it's a lovely green room.
Yeah, I mean it's
champagne, eating nibbles. It's been amazing.
I didn't get champagne. Hold on a minute.
When we say champagne, we just mean a can of cherry fizzy pop because that's all it extends to. Danny, why don't you introduce yourself and tell people why you are here and what it is that you do on Dune?
Okay. Hi. I'm Danny. I'm the project manager for Dune Adventures in the Imperium. We are here to not just talk about Dune as a line in general, but to let you guys know about our newest book that is going to be coming out, which is the great game Houses of the Landsraad. My job is to kind of make sure it gets made, and I have this amazing team who you have two wonderful members of here who help make sure it actually happens, and we have stuff to show you. That's me.
That's cool. Rachel, you're next on the list. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, hi. I am a writer on Dune Adventures of the Imperium and the canon editor. So I get to make sure that everything that's in the book is in the novels and that everything matches up nicely so we don't have strange things happening. But yeah, so, and do a lot of the adventures. I really actually enjoy writing the adventures in the books.
Cool. And Andy, can you tell us your role in all of this?
Yeah, so I'm Andy Peregrine and I'm the lead writer, so I get the easy job. I get to decide kind of what's going in the books. Then Danny says no, then I figure it out again, and then I get Rachel to do the hard work and write most of it. I pick the bits I like.
Fair enough. And as it's just been pointed out, of course, in chat, the Gold Any winning writing team. Yeah. I think that's
yes.
Bagpuss.
And Bagpuss, yeah, Bagpuss is being entrusted with the Any. Although if you know what Bagpuss is about, he'll probably like break it and have to be fixed by Emily. But that's part of how it goes. So, Danny, do you want to tell us a little bit about Houses of the Landsraad and what we're going to do? What we're going to do tonight in this little session?
Yeah. So, Houses of the Landsraad. With Dune, with Adventures in the Imperium, we started off on Arrakis. You may have heard of the place. It's a bit dry, a bit sandy, but it's where we started. And as we've kind of developed the line and continued on, we have Agents of Dune, our box set, which has now been followed up by Masters of Dune, the full campaign book that follows on. And with Agents and Masters, we've kind of started to tease leaving Arrakis and adventuring into the Imperium, going to certain places. I will not spoil anything for those that have yet to buy it, because you should.
Should.
It's a great set of products, and Masters is on pre-order now, due out October, end of October, beginning of November. But yeah, so with those, we teased leaving Arrakis and entering the Imperium, and Houses of the Landsraad, the great game. We open the floodgates and we throw you into the Imperium, into the known universe, and we showcase the different houses of the Landsraad itself, and we kind of really throw you into the universe that Frank Herbert created. And for those that don't know, the Landsraad is the great council of houses that decides the fate of the Imperium under the will of the Emperor. And yeah, so we created a book that tells you about a lot of the houses, as many as we could and were allowed to.
Yeah.
And we have created some of our own. And there are other things in the book, not just houses, but we will touch upon that later.
Yes. So yeah, like Danny says, we're going to go through literally the houses of the Landsraad. There may be some we talk a lot about. There may be some we don't talk much about. This could be down to us wanting to keep a few secrets, as you've known if you are aware of how we talked about Agents of Dune. We do like a little secret in the world of Dune. We like to let you discover stuff. But yeah, we would be amiss to not talk if we didn't talk about certain houses. So, without further ado, let's dive straight in. And the first house on the list is House Alexin. Now, I'm terrified of all of the pronunciation. I will level this straight away. I am just like, I'm going to say something wrong. So, please do correct me. And this is one I don't know much about. I'm guessing, if I had to guess anything, there's a slight farming edge, judging by the subtle artwork on the banner. Would I be right?
So just give Chris Webb a quick shout out on the work that he has done, not only on the books, but on the banners themselves, because they're pretty hot. So
they are amazing. But yeah, is there anything noteworthy to say about these guys, or is it just a case of this is the first house? Find out more later.
One of the things that houses allows is also you to make your own house, and so and it kind of shows you how to do house management. And so one of the aspects of that, and Andy will come in and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, is picking domains. What is your primary domain? What does your house do?
Right.
And so when you see a banner with a form of grain or rice, and you do think agricultural, you would be correct.
Hey! So
points to you.
Graphic design works. Hooray!
It is an agricultural house, and it also creates, well, it builds farming equipment. So it is a farming house.
So it's kind of like one of those examples of, like you said, how to create something with a prominent domain that really sort of stands out. I think it's there won't be any questions about who the next lot are. Some ragamuffin outfit are known as House Atreides. So when you're putting all this together to create these breakdowns of the different houses, presumably something like Atreides is one of the ones where you're like, well, we've only got so much space and there's a lot to cover. Where does covering the house begin versus covering all their story and their impact end?
Well, that's at Andrew's side, yeah.
Definitely. It's mostly one of those things where we could do a book on each house if we really wanted. And so for all of these things, you have to draw a line under it somewhere. So we've set up for all of the houses in House of Landsraad, they all follow the same format. So, you get all the same things with each one. We detail their domains, their military power, things like this. But also note things like, one of the things I always find quite interesting about House Atreides themselves is that while they are known for their military, their main thing they do to make money is this pundi rice that is just a ubiquitous farming staple.
Right.
So one of the things that's been important to do in this book is remind people that power is determined in the Landsraad by how well you can take what you have and leverage that into something across the Imperium. And if you can have something that's ubiquitous, you can earn a lot of power and influence that way.
Yeah.
Feeding people is often one of the better ways to gain power, apart from things, not the things like you make guns or you make, other exciting technology. But we've got a wide variety of houses in here that will cover all manner of different types and styles for your game as well.
Amazing. Question in chat: are we looking at any particular era? Are we sort of saying this is when we're taking this information from? Is it pre-novel, first novel, or is it more generalised than that?
We're still set at the same timeline that we've been talking about for the Imperium. But we have had to do a little bit of tweaks and fiddles. Some of the houses that are coming up have got a very involved timeline that take part in various different places and times within the novels. And it's one of the juggling acts we've had to do, is to try and make sure that we can present these houses to work at any particular time in your section of the Imperium. So just before the main novel, a little bit afterwards, just 20, 30 years before. The general standard is just before the novel, like everything we've got in Imperium at the moment. But there should be enough information for you to go a little bit further back or a little bit further forward if you shifted your campaign somewhere slightly different.
Cool. Let's not give Atreides the limelight. They get it all the time. Let's move on. And this is one of the ones I'm going to have to ask for help on the pronunciation. I don't know quite how to pronounce this. Rachel, do you know? Can you help me, please? Ekaz. See, I would have said that, but I just wasn't brave enough to commit. These
are our drug peddlers.
Lovely.
Yes, they put drugs on the streets. Samuda, I think they also created Safu, the juice of Safu from the Mentats. So yeah, they're keeping everybody's minds real sharp. Real sharp.
That's the public line, presumably.
Yes. And they also have a feud, I think, with another house that's coming up. Is it Mortani?
Yeah.
Yeah, Mortani. They also have a feud with them. So
I mean, with all these entries, are we dealing with the social structure of the house? Do we talk about home planets at all, or is it one of X we do? Cool.
Yeah, I mean, it's up to Danny how much we want to reveal of what's in each of the settings. But yes, we do.
Well, we will be giving a little bit of a sneak to chat at some point. So they maybe just wait a few more houses, and you might have something to get your teeth into. Next, not one I'm familiar with. House, is it Hagal?
Hagel.
See, I thought I'll commit this. I'll say, and I'll get it right, and everything will be fine, and I won't feel like an idiot. But no, there we go. What? Yeah, I'm not familiar with these guys. Who are they?
They're a mining house, I guess is the best way to put it. And they also mine precious stones. I think it's also interesting. One of the fun facts for them is that the Emperor's throne is made from one solid piece of Hagel quartz.
Right.
So so it's kind of got a little bit of, dare I say, Game of Thrones vibe with the Valyrian steel or whatever the swords are, but this is supposed to be Hagel quartz.
Right.
And so that's what they do.
Okay, that's cool.
If you play I think Dune Adventures, the other direwolf game, that because we're allowed to talk about other people's products, I think you'll notice this symbol House Hagel. They're one of the modifying clans in one of the new board games as well. Right. So it's nice to see all these games and board games and things are all connecting in quite nicely as well.
Definitely. A familiar banner, I think, next.
I feel like I know what's coming up.
I feel like it's the friendest,
happiest,
These are
cuddliest
great guys.
They're friends to all. It's House Harkonnen are basically detailed. They're just doing what they do. Let's not hate on them. How do you get around presenting? I mean, are you going to outright just be like, you know what, the Harkonnen are not great, or are you fairly neutral in presenting them? How do you present them in this book?
To be honest, there's not a lot of nice people in Dune. Yeah. I mean, it's one of the problems. It's up to you to decide exactly what your house is.
Yeah,
and the Harkonnen are one of the worst.
Yes,
without
one
question.
of the most brutal. Let's call them brutal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of brings us to an interesting point. So we've kind of now detailed that Atreides are out there, Harkonnen are out there, and one thing we thought we wanted to do was to give a little extra. This book is kind of being made, and normally you wouldn't see any of it until it went to pre-order, and then maybe you get PDF or something. So we've got excerpts from it, which you can have now in PDF.
Yep.
but we're not making it easy for you. So, which do you want, chat? You can have House Atreides, or you can have House Harkonnen, but you cannot have both.
We're going to find out what kind of chat we're dealing with.
Yeah, I want to know, basically. I want to know what chat. Make important choices. This is you've got 10 minutes, so there's no direct rush. It's just, you know, a very obvious window into your soul, what you choose. You can then take this away, and it's basically the entire section from House of the Landsraad, so you can get a taste of it, start trying to use it in your game, and yeah, see how it goes. The other one that does not get chosen today, it may crop up some other time at a later date. That's for Danny. I'll be giving him that PDF back, and he will literally do what he wants with it. Maybe he will keep it at home and frame it and let no one look at it. Or maybe he will give it away in some other way. That's totally up to him. But this is basically your first chance. So yeah, it will be a complete excerpt and a good look into the sort of things we are talking about. No, you can't have the farming one, Gribble. That is not allowed. Can you imagine? Would you like, you know, which one would you like? Would you like House Atreides? Or these farmer guys? Would you like that? It's like, well, I think we know how that vote goes, really. So, apart from Gribble, who would vote farmer, yeah, just for the lols.
Well, this is
I can't remember. Did I actually write the farmers, Andy? What are you talking about? I think that's the one.
I can't remember. I know I gave you at least 3, I think.
Yeah.
And 2 of them we haven't talked about. You might. I can't remember.
Might have.
I'd have to remember.
But we'll see. We'll see.
Is one of them canola?
No, because that was mine.
That's one of yours, Andy. Tell us about canola. And why do they have one of the most minimalist, pleasing banners ever created? It's very satisfying.
These are religious house.
Right.
And it's one of the ones, what we should say with this, which is quite good for fans of Dune generally, is that when we approached this book, we wanted a certain amount of canon houses, Atreides, Harkonnen, and the ones that, you know, like people know, like Kaz, Mauritania, and the like. But we did actually approach the estate and say, could you give us some names? You know, we could invent some names and throw some stuff together, but it would be really nice if you'd be kind enough to give us a list of official names with a little bit about what they do.
Yeah.
And we'll take those on and expand them. So, and they did. It was amazing.
Fantastic.
So we've got all of these houses, the new ones that people haven't seen before. They're coming straight from the estate. This is coming from the people who make the books and the core of Dune. And we had the opportunity to expand and add something to that. But the core of it is all coming from the estate. So it is like really official stuff.
Fantastic. That's so cool. Next. Oh no, how do I pronounce this? Lindarin? Don't laugh at me, Danny. I'm trying so hard.
I'm in the same boat as you.
I wonder, yeah, but you can just sit there and be a bit quiet when it comes and go, I'm not answering that. I'm like, I guess I have to pronounce it. Lindarin, did you say, Rachel?
Lindarin.
That's
Lindarin. At least that's what I'm going to say it is.
That's what I said too. I'm sure I said that.
Yeah.
But yes, whose work is House Lindarin?
I'm going to find my list now, aren't I?
No.
I know. I told Danny I need to pull up some notes as soon as I said that we're going through the houses. I'm like, I didn't memorize every icon.
This is the thing. I've cruelly sprung this on these guys, and it's like they're like, we're going to go through this stuff that I wrote months ago, and it's like, yeah, I hope you got a good memory. No, they don't have a good memory.
Well, I will say that we do know that this is a textile house. This is also small arms and ammunitions. So they are probably, because, you know, sort of melding the textiles and the munitions and creating body armor probably with it too, and rugged wear. But that is what they are doing.
Cool.
And I can tell you this. Actually, this is one of our most stalwart writers in things. That came from Mary Takuda.
Oh yes.
One. And she's been with us from the start. She's an amazing writer. She's
fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Oh my gosh, we're neck and neck on the pole.
I know. It's kind of
Guys.
it's sort of yinging and yanging between the two. I'm tempted to just say, like, if it ties, you get nothing. how I'm not Great Wolf Dog is like, no, that means you're legally required to give us both. I'm pretty sure there's no legal precedent for this. I would happily just like say, no, I can do what I want in that situation.
I've got rules here. It's whatever the head of the house says.
Exactly. Welcome House Modiphius. Our main exports are PDFs. But yeah, so see what you're doing on there. House Maroa. I don't know these guys. They look kind of chill.
You mean Moros?
Well,
that's a typo, I think.
Well, it's in the file I was given.
That's a typo.
Yoink. Well,
that's all right.
I'm sure it's fine because
it's fine in the book. We just underline that.
Yeah, it's fine in the book. That's cool. Well, maybe we should just like draw a line under House Maros then, and just be like,
yes. Well, so if anybody, yes, I would have to say this is a culinary house. That would be a way to put it. But they are known for a very specific delicacy, a very specific deer delicacy. So if you look at their icon, you get the hint of the antlers of the deer.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got that. That's quite cool. I've corrected it now. It's House Maros. Everyone's happy. It's fine. What is not fine is the one we're probably going to glaze over because they're not very nice people.
I imagine we could just as a teaser, we'll say these guys possibly even worse than the Harkonnen.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're not.
Yeah.
You don't want to.
Yeah.
Let's go back and look at the Maroa one for a little bit. There we go. That's nice. Whereas, I don't know if yeah, is it Mikarol? We don't want to talk about them.
Yeah.
They're not.
What I will say one thing, and not to do with Mikarol, but in terms of the banners and the house crests themselves that we have here. I just want to shout out our graphic designer Chris Webb. He's the designer that did all our origination work for Dune, the layout we have, and he did all these house crests. They were all custom designs he did, and he went into so much detail researching crests, banners, sigils, all the way back into like medieval times, and like what is the purpose of a house crest? What is it there to depict? What sort of feelings do they bring up in you when you look at them? And he did some amazing research and then produced some amazing work for the banners for all these houses.
Totally. And I think kind of what's really, at least for me, what was really telling is just before we started, you know, like I've got enough knowledge of Dune, you know, I think like most people, I've seen the films and I've read most of the book. You know, not for want of trying, but I've just never managed to quite pull it off. But I love the setting. You know, it's kind of one of the things where like I love that setting and I want to explore it. When we started and Rachel, Andy, and Danny were like, you know, some of these aren't like kind of, you know, they're kind of created. I was like, I wouldn't have guessed that. When I was looking through these, I was like, these all look so legit. And I know it's not kind of like you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, but I do it a lot quite the same. That's fine. Let's go away from House Naughty. Moritani. And I'm guessing this is one I could work out. Are they something to do with horses?
Well, I will say that this was the rival of Alexin that we were talking
about
before.
Okay.
Yes. So they are I think, and they even disappeared before Dune. Aren't they even in the novels? They don't even make it into the novels, I don't think. I'm trying to remember exactly. Yeah. But
the early Prelude novels.
Yes.
Right.
Yes, they were one of the early houses, and if I'm looking at them, yeah, that's right. They're also a little naughty because they stockpile atomics.
Okay.
And so, and in Dune particularly, atomics are a no-no.
And they're a house full of secrets because where their ancestry as well is quite complex as well. So,
Guys, we're tying. You've got 5 seconds left. Pick one.
They just tied it. Someone was literally waiting to the last. Was it you, Danny? You've got that cheeky little smile.
I voted House Harkonnen.
that's the action of the Bene Gesserit, that is.
So, in the event of a tie, I am going to go with what was leading up until the tie. Does that seem fair?
Oh, can we give them another 10 minutes while we're chatting?
I don't know.
We go on and
people are just like, both. We want both the toys. I don't like being made to choose. It's like, well, tough.
Hanley. Yeah, nice.
I know.
Hanley.
Both or no sales. It's like, I'm sorry, we're giving you 15% off everything and a free X. What more do you want? No. I think, okay, what we'll do, we're going to give you Harkonnen now. And maybe I can't, I'm saying this like kind of, I have influence of this. Maybe Danny can do something with the Atreides one over the next couple of weeks. Maybe pop it into the mailing list or on the Discord or something, whatever he feels is most appropriate. Or he could say no, just Harkonnen. You're not having anything else. It's up to him. What you can do?
Wow, what pressure!
No pressure.
Yeah, because this is what you get when earlier you're like, I don't have to pronounce these words. I'm like, yeah, well, you wait, mate, because if this gets tied, I'm putting the pressure on you.
Okay, we will do Harkonnen now, and Atreides will be coming in a couple of weeks. Keep your eyes on our social media and our mailing list, and you may find a link.
You may find it. So, there we go.
What I will say is, if we release House Harkonnen now on a certain author's birthday, you may be able to.
I like that. That's thematic, and it feels like we're not copping out. I like it very much. We've got a few more houses to go through. I think we're probably, we've got probably the fanciest banner of them all. When I was editing these, I was like, that's something special. I don't know much about House Metelli.
They are a political house.
Right.
They are diplomats, mediators, probably coming in to be the neutral third party unless paid
right
on the side behind closed doors. There's been a deal, there's something, but they are also political adjudicators. Is that how you would put it, Andy?
Yes. So we look at what they live with. So yeah. Yes, political stuff. And again, this one is one of the two from Keith Garrett did these ones for us. He's been with us a while, and so I work on Star Trek as well. So we cross pollinate a lot in Modiphius.
Yeah. I'm not gonna try and pronounce this one. Novebruns.
Novebruns. Yep.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna get that. That's fine. That is not what I was gonna get at all. But yeah, I kind of just I didn't know what to make of these guys by what I saw. So
yeah, it is another mining house.
Right.
So,
okay.
Another house that digs up precious stones.
Do you feel like with kind of these houses, like you're talking about the Metelli and the Nova I can't say it still, the Nova Bronze. Thank you. I just need to clip that and play it on a Excel. Do you feel like they're kind of fulfilling like a suitable role to be able to just pull out and interact within your campaign more than say the big famous guys? It's like, because there's always that pressure if you're like, and you're going to deal with House Atreides. It's like, well, there's always that kind of expectation. It's like, well, we know so many people from it, but with these lesser known ones, do you feel like they're more suited to that background role of interaction?
I mean, I have an opinion. Andy, do you have an opinion?
I've got an opinion on everything. I'm a nightmare, but you
So I think that it is really exciting to not only play against maybe the Atreides or the Harkonnen, but you know, take the role of. I think those are exciting things. But when you are creating your own house, which I think, at least for me, and if I were playing, that's sort of the thing that would be dearest to me. I would want to have the, you know, come up with my own name and my own banner and all of my own stuff.
Yeah.
Well, then if I'm just starting out, how do I take on an Atreides? How do I take on a Harkonnen? And so the way that you do that is by making friends with all of the other houses. And I think that having this widespread of different sized houses in different domains, you can find allies. And then when you start incorporating allies, then it feels reasonable to take on some of these great houses and try to politic against them.
Yeah. Yeah, you like...
Oh,
sorry. No, you go, Andy.
So this is why we tried to give quite a good variety of different houses here, because we don't know what house you're going to create when you play this game. So any of these houses can be allies, they can be enemies. If you find that you're a mining house and you're in the same sector that House Netherrooms is trying to mine things, you're going to butt heads. But if you're mining and you actually need them to deliver you some more machinery to help you do your mining, they might be your greatest ally. So it all depends how you're going to meet up with these guys, and any of them could be an ally and enemy, depending on your house and how you approach them as well.
How you treat them.
We really should have done a house that makes dice. I really want to put that in there. I'm angry at
a
myself.
Gaming house. A gaming house.
Balance.
Yeah, gaming house known for making dice. We missed that. I apologize.
It's not good enough. It's not good enough. But no, it kind of makes me think of of what Danny was saying earlier with, you know, the Landsraad being more than just what you would expect from, you know, the initial book, the initial setup of Atreides and Harkonnen and Carino, and, you know, that's all very interesting. But if you are creating your own house, there's something to be said for like working your way up the leagues of the Landsraad. You know, it's like, you know, you've got to have the people who are the more accessibly challengeable houses before you just wade in. It's like, it's the new guys versus House Carino. It's like, well, no, come on. Now this is my favourite banner. I don't know why. It's just very pleasing. House Riches. Yeah. I kind of got it.
This is one of the larger houses. I mean, this is a canon house that is involved in lots of things throughout the novels. I was sort of I made some notes on each of the houses, and they too, their rivals, the Vernius, which I assume we will get to at the very end. But we have always been at war with Vernius. They are let me see, what did I put here? Oh, industrial miniaturization.
Okay. Of course, if you want to dial back, they're the guys who held Dune, the governorship of Dune, before the Harkonnen. So there's a whole story to these guys. Technically now, I think they're a minor house, but we put because they're kind of a fallen minor.
Well, the Emperor kind of blew up their moon, so.
Yeah, that's what I like about you. This like you don't get a slap wrist. Someone comes and blows up your moon.
Yeah, don't upset Christopher Walken. He's not going to like that. Next, Spinette is one of the harder banners to cut out if you're having to. I have to ask Andy, was this Spinette or Spinetti?
Oh, I like both now. I was going with Spinette, but I just
Spinetti is very kind of, it's me.
It's an assassin's house, and Spinetti has a nice little ring to it.
Yeah. Somebody mentioned Italian mobs earlier.
Yes, it was Metelli, wasn't it? Yeah.
Of course, if we have any disagreements, then one is the American pronunciation, one is the English pronunciation.
Yeah, there you go.
So we're all good. That's fine.
Exactly. Just don't disagree with the Emperor, as we said already. I quite like this one as well, to be fair. And I have to admit, I stared at this while I was rendering these files. I was like, paper planes?
Oh, Talagari.
Yeah. What paper? I couldn't work this one out. I was trying. Chat, if you've got any ideas.
You had to have written this one because this is where we get your jonglers.
The jongler do come into this one. This was one of
Performers,
this was
artists.
Hilary Sklar's did this one for us.
Mm.
And I was going to say, do you want to remind you which ones you did, Rachel? It's such a long time ago.
Well, I know some of them that I did because now that I'm seeing the names, I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
This will give you like a kind of an indication on how sometimes
This is
the
the behind the
turnaround is on.
scenes.
You're like,
Yeah.
I wrote that? Oh my god, that's so good.
This is what happens. I mean, so you write a thing. So really, if we talk about the process, Andy develops the outline. He decides what needs to be in this book depending on the theme, and then he chops up all the parts and finds writers and gives people the opportunity to pick. So you could kind of say, oh, I'm kind of interested in this. I'm interested in writing that. If I want to write the history of something or whatever. And then we all go through the writing, and then it's all edits and redrafts and approvals, and it's a very long time. And by the time the book comes out, you have totally forgotten what you wrote.
Exactly. It's totally understandable. But that's why it's a bit mean of me just being like, hey,
what's this one this time?
Hope you got
right?
perfect recall, because it's like we got content writing on this. So
I can just double check.
You're always prepared, Andy. Yeah, so I can work this one out. Are they? We've got some suggestions. Entertainment.
Yes. Performers, artists, entertainment. Yes.
Oh yes, you did say the junglers. Yes. Excellent.
And so there's the scales. This one.
Oh yeah. It's
now he says it, you can see it.
Now it's explained. As
we will be coming back to their minor house.
I don't want to be. Please, I thought you were going to say we'll be coming back and there will be a test. I was like, no, please.
Oh, there's always a test. You just never see it coming.
Life is a test. Thorvald, which does make me think of Rear Window, one of my favourite films. But there's a character in that called Thorvald. Spoilers. He done a murder, but well worth checking out. Are these? I don't recognise them. Aside from that, are these original? Sorry, are these a developed one? Or?
Yeah, they are very prominent. They have a well-known war school where they train soldiers. They are also a precious alloys house,
right?
And I think that's sort of where we were trying to get the symbol for them. And then I'll Andy, take it away while I look up my other notes.
So it's like a lot of these ones. We've got a lot of different houses that do things like they all do mining, but some will be doing mining for ores, some will mine for jewelry. So there's often something slightly different in each one of them. But it also means they're close enough that you might come into a war between two mining houses because they've crossed over their patches with each other.
Yeah.
There's a lot of opportunity to mix and match that way as well.
Well, when it breaks... Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, and I can't believe I forgot because I did glance at what I had written, and all I will just say is this is a house that attempts to take on Paul Muad'Dib.
We know how that confrontation works out.
Okay. But spoiler alert.
It's quite likely. It doesn't go very often.
This is what we like with this sort of game, though, because when you're playing Dune, even if you know that taking on Paul is not going to be a good plan, what your plan for your house is how can I make sure my house profits by this?
Yes.
Or how can I not get taken down with them? If you can see the way the wind is blowing, there's always an opportunity.
Well, it's like you said about them being different mining outfits and stuff like that. So even when you get down to it, like when you're moved to Arrakis, for example, you are it's resource gathering. It's like your whole operation is about who has what, whether that is mined resources or created resources or political power or the ability to remove an enemy. It's kind of that's the interesting part. It's working out how your stuff leverages against the set of another house. These are guys of Vernius. Now, these guys were mentioned earlier as someone's nemesis, I believe.
Richess.
Richess, that was it, yes.
And these are the folks that build the guild highliners.
I thought I recognised the name from somewhere, but yes. So, what's the... And this is maybe something we can come back to afterwards, because after this we've got one more house. Is the guild... You know what its relationship is. So maybe let's come back to that. The last house that we have here really is oh no, I'm going to fail at the last hurdle here. Wydras?
I would say Wydras.
Yeah.
Wydras.
No. Oh, you dropped the S?
No, I'd say Wydras. Yeah.
These are spies and spy masters.
Right.
I think it's almost. Did he take the?
It's a mix. What I love about this one is that it's a Laser tiger, so it's like the fang. It's like the eyes and the fangs of the tiger. But I also like it. It's almost like someone doing this as well.
It is, isn't it?
It's like both. I love what Chris has done with this one.
Yeah, I especially like the little extra teeth at the bottom of the banner just hanging off. You know, that's really cute. If cute's the right word.
I mean, Richard all brought this one to us as well.
It was supposed to be cunning. You know, it's this idea of, you know, a cat-like cunning.
My neighbours are setting off fireworks. Isn't that nice? So there we go. So while they do that, for reasons I can't work out at 1:45 in the morning, let's talk about the guild and how they're represented, because obviously there is more to this book than a simple listing of houses. We've kind of broadly approached this and been like, this is pretty things, and let's break it down in that way. But what else are we dealing with in House of the Landsraad?
I suppose it's mainly, we've got a whole section on the guild, primarily because if you're going to go off Arrakis and travel the universe, you need the guild. It's as simple as that. So most of what this guild chapter does for us is give you the wherewithal for moving between planets, what it's like to go on a highliner, and a load of extra options for guild agent player characters. So there's some new talents, new options, new styles to all those. So it's your little bit of a player book in that section for the guild. But it's how to get off your planet and how to move around the universe and create new planets and things like that as well. So that's the bit that gets you moving.
Yeah.
We will come back to the guild again and again because it's vast. But this is in this case, we're dealing with how you actually get from point A to point B and how that happens and how that works.
What would be, I mean, if you guys were going to be using this, where would you start with your like you said, Rachel, you mentioned earlier about creating your own house. It's like, how do you use that as like kind of a jumping off point? Do you think this is best used in any particular way, or is it just a dive in and take what you want approach?
The book allows for a lot of ways in, and even just for, I would like to portray a house. So even if it was, I wanted to be House Vernius for a campaign, you could also do that. You can create your own house. I also like how we've approached agent play versus architect play when it comes to houses. And I don't know, can I talk about the reputation scale and the traits and the, I don't know if I'm giving away too much.
Andy's like, yeah, Danny's like,
you can be a bad guy. That's the thing that I really enjoy, because it's sort of in a lot of, let's see if we call this, I don't know if you were going to call this vampires in space or Game of Thrones in space, or, you know, but that, you know, when you get into fantasy, it's a lot of heroes conquering bad guys. And the thing that I love about Dune is we are the bad guys. Everybody, in a way, is kind of a bad guy. It's sort of like, if anybody loves, you know, the Empire, come play Dune. And so there's a system that allows you to progress being kind of not great.
Yeah.
Like if if you wanted to, for example, be a minor house sworn in fealty to the Harkonnen, there's a way to do that.
But they're nice people. They're very friendly.
Very nice.
You can be a horrible person and very
and
friendly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like Andy was saying earlier. That it's not a universe that basically is populated by really nice people who are beneficial to everyone. It's there's a lot of self-centeredness at the heart of everyone's house.
Well, I always describe it as the anti-Star Trek, because Star Trek is a wonderful socialist utopia full of diversity, where everyone is equal and everyone works for the benefit of their own society and takes no monetary gain from it. And in Dune, it's a capitalist hellhole run by large corporations who have the elite as living luxury and everyone else lives in abject poverty.
Oh yeah, everybody else is in squalor.
It's basically the opposite Star Trek. They're great games to play parallel to each other.
Yes.
And we do both. So brilliant.
Exactly. So I think one of the things that's also interesting to me, and I think possibly this is maybe a nice thing to sort of round off on, is, as you kind of said at the start, Danny, we began very much like focused on Arrakis and have pulled out from it and pulled out from it and pulled out from it, which in a kind of way is actually opposite to what you kind of do if you were maybe sensible and trying to make as much money as possible, because you'd hold the Arrakis stuff back. But it's like, as we're pulling out into this wider world, what can you say, if anything, about where we go from here? Where does Dune as a game, as a gaming system sort of head? Where do we focus our attention next?
So,
without saying anything you can't say.
Without saying everything or too much, because I know there are people in chat with notebooks taking down information. So with houses, we take you off Arrakis, we take you into the Imperium, and we give you that look on the Landsraad and the noble houses and how this hierarchy works, how to manage that. And I will say, with House of the Landsraad, Andy and his writing team have done an amazing job at creating a house management system that really works, and you can really get into that minutiae and that nitty-gritty of how to build your house from the ground up.
Yeah, it's designed as well to let you do either. So if you just want to go, oh, we kind of did a little bit of this, let's move on, it's fine. But if you want to take a whole session working out what you built and where you're moving to, it's all there.
But after houses, we're fully now embracing being within the Imperium, and there are more than just noble houses in the Imperium. There is an emperor, there is a court, and there are other factions and shadowy figures, shall we say, working within the Imperium.
Exactly. I won't make you say anymore. I just think it's interesting to know, like, where the kind
Danny try to say something.
I know, it's very diplomatic. I was like, I thought he was just gonna like stop at some point up into there, but I guess my thought being, rather than being necessarily specific, saying this is what we're doing next, it is just to take that out into the wider universe and to like go, here's context in this part, here's context in this part. So if you want to do this kind of story, this is where you can. It's like, because it feels like House of the Landsraad almost feels like the last part of like a kind of a first wave, almost like, you've got all the tools now, whether it is local on Arrakis all the way out to the wider Imperium, and next it's like, okay, where do you want to focus those tools? Do you want to focus them here, there, or this kind of story, or that kind of story?
The way I look at it is, when you enter Dune as a role-playing game, as an IP and a story, Arrakis is that, everyone knows Dune, everyone knows Arrakis, and everyone knows the kind of timeline of what happens with Arrakis. So that's kind of the railroad. But what we're doing with House of the Landsraad and everything we have planned and are working on is opening up that sandbox for the Imperium and for the universe, because it is vast. There's a lot going on. There is a plethora of time to play in. So we're going in.
Exactly.
It's the wonderful thing about the setting. There is always another layer to pull back. There's always a bigger fish, and there's always another arena of power that you haven't taken yet.
Yes.
However high you go, however high you go. So how ambitious are you is the question. How ambitious is your house?
Yeah,
As
and
to how-
the problem with, you know, all these kind of levels of power is getting it is not even half the battle. You got to keep it. You know, and that's as we proved, there's plenty of houses out there who would quite happily take that position from you. So I think as my neighbours pull out even more fireworks, I don't know what they're doing out there. It's going crazy. But I think we're reaching the end of the evening. If does anyone have any like last things to say about houses? If so, speak.
Not about specific, but get your friends to play Dune. Get your friends to play Dune. So shameless plugging.
Definitely, definitely
yeah.
Shameless plugging. I'll be getting that in a minute. Don't worry about that. Andy, do you have anything to finish off with?
This all sounds again like shameless plugging or flannel, but really it isn't. When we looked at this book, when we got the layout together, when we got these banners together, pretty much everyone on the team just looked at this book and went, "Wow, this is the book." This, you know, we've been very pleased and very proud of our book so far. But I think at the moment this is running as one of our favourites, and we were all blown away by what the writing was, what the art was, how the banners had come out, the look of it, what's in it. You're really going to like it.
I think so too. Danny, anything from you?
Yes. Masters is on pre-order now. Masters of Dune, the campaign book that follows the story of House Nagara from Agents of Dune onwards. That is on pre-order now. That is due out end of October, beginning of November. And for those that are wondering, as we are talking about the great game House of the Landsraad, you will have to wait till next year, beginning of the year. Is when we intend to release.
Yes, but we just wanted to make sure that, you know, we were talking about something definitely new rather than something you may have come across already. I'd like to take this chance to say thank you to Danny, Andy, and Rachel for joining us here to talk about Dune and look at more banners than is humanly containable in one mind. Thank you all for your patience, but thank you everyone in chat for hanging out. Thank you very much if you drop some bits or subbed or anything. All of that is going to Roll vs Evil, which you can find out more about that at rollversusevil.com. Thank you very much for coming along. It's been bloody lovely. I'm going to go have a cup of tea and go to bed, and I suggest you all do the same, unless you don't want to. I'm not going to tell you what to do.
Unless fireworks.
Exactly. I might go out and have a nice firework party. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great weekend, and we'll speak to you all very, very soon. Bye for now.
Bye.